History remembers the men of the Wild West as gunfighters, outlaws, lawmen. But hidden deep within the lawless reaches of the Indian Territory, the most dangerous mastermind wasn't a man at all. She wore fine silk, she played classical piano, and she commanded some of the most ruthless gangs of her generation. They called her the Bandit Queen. But who was the woman behind the myth? Was she a cold-blooded criminal or a calculated survivor, trapped in a world that didn't know what to do with a woman who refused to follow the rules? Today, we strip away the folklore and uncover the dark, double life of Belle Starr. Before she was an outlaw, she was Myra Maybelle Shirley. Born in 1848 to a wealthy, influential Missouri family she wanted for nothing. She was a child of privilege, raised to be the perfect Southern aristocrat. In the quiet comfort of a wealthy parlor, young Myra mastered music, literature, and high society manners. She was sharp, highly educated, and fiercely intelligent. But this refined upbringing would soon become the perfect camouflage for a completely different life. The peace didn't last. As the American Civil War tore across the nation, Missouri became a blood-soaked battleground. Trapped between warring factions, Myra's family watched their world begin to crumble around them. Then, the war hit home. Union forces targeted her family. Her beloved brother was killed in action, and the family plantation was burned to the ground. In the ashes of her home, young Myra learned a brutal lesson. The law could not protect you. Standing by the graves of those she lost, the innocent Southern Belle died. In her place grew something far harder and infinitely more dangerous. She found an escape in Jim Reed, a dashing but dangerous Confederate guerrilla. He was a man who lived in the shadows of the law. In marrying him, Myra officially turned her back on high society. Leaving the ruins of her past behind, she rode out into the wild frontier. This was the moment Myra Shirley vanished into history, and Belle Starr
I have a plan, Myra. We can get out of this town.
What's the catch, Jim?
No catch. Just trust me.
I'm listening. We need to hit the stage. It's our own...
In the rough and tumble border towns of Texas, Belle was introduced to the criminal underworld. While Jim spent his time drinking and boasting, Belle sat back, watched, and learned how the syndicates truly operated.
Keep pushing. They're gaining. Not for long. Keep pushing, Jim.
Soon, they were running together, armed with Winchester rifles and fleeing from heavily armed posses. Belle proved she could ride, shoot, and endure the harsh frontier just as well as any man on the run.
Not for long.
She discarded her dresses for leather riding gear. She wore a signature black hat with a single feather. She was no longer an outlaw's wife. She was an outlaw in her own right. By the mid-1870s, the government took notice. Her name began appearing on wanted posters across the territory, charging her horse theft, and bomber.
Another day closer to California. Hope you make it that far.
Belle and Jim aligned themselves with the most notorious outlaws of the era, including the infamous Younger Gang. Around these campfires, complex, multi-state robberies were mapped out. She became a lethal shot. In the secluded canyons of the West,
Belle practiced until she could draw and fire 2 revolvers simultaneously with deadly precision. Yet, the double life continued. Inside her cabin, she was a mother, holding her newborn daughter, Pearl. But even in her quietest moments, a loaded weapon was always within arm's reach. The lifestyle took its toll. In 1874, Jim Reed was betrayed and shot dead by a lawman in a dusty street. Belle was left completely alone, facing a hostile world with a target on her back. But Belle didn't cry. She didn't surrender. She lifted her veil, looked directly. To survive, Belle needed a fortress. She found it deep within the Indian Territory of Oklahoma at a remote, treacherous riverbend known as Younger's Bend. Protected by towering cliffs and dense, unmapped forests, it was a natural stronghold. Here, she built a massive log cabin. On the surface, it looked like a simple homestead. In reality, it was the highly organized nerve center of a massive criminal empire. While the men provided the muscle, Belle provided the brain power. Under the dim glow of a kerosene lamp, she used her sharp education to plot out flawless heist routes and escape plans. Word of her sanctuary spread fast. Legendary outlaws began arriving at her doorstep. Young, unpredictable killers like Billy the Kid sought her counsel, forming alliances sealed with a quiet handshake.
Here's to us, Belle. I needed that, Jesse.
Always a pleasure, friends.
Even America's most wanted man, Jesse James, found refuge at Younger's Bend. Belle hosted the premier criminals of the age, sharing whiskey, planning raids, and operating completely beyond the reach of federal law.
Take this to the end of the trail.
She ran a sophisticated intelligence network. With a quiet whisper and a sealed letter handed to trusted couriers, Belle directed movements across multiple states without ever leaving her porch.
It's good to see some peace around here.
Indeed, Sheriff. A welcome change.
This is mighty fine cooking, Belle. Best meal I've had on the trail.
Her greatest weapon was her intellect. When the local sheriff came knocking, Belle would elegantly serve them dinner, smiling sweetly, while her hand remained locked on a loaded gun hidden beneath the table. She weaponized her privilege. Belle would routinely ride into major towns dressed in high society luxury, looking down on the very citizens who suspected her, using her class as a shield against arrest.
And what she couldn't bypass with manners, she bought with cold cash. Corrupt marshals and politicians easily looked the other way when Belle slid a cut of the outlaw profits across their desks.
Under the cover of total darkness, Younger's Bend became a major hub for illegal weapon trafficking, supplying desperate gangs with the firepower needed to fight the expanding American government.
Yet, on quiet evenings, the cabin filled with classical music. Belle would play the piano for her children, a bizarre, surreal display of elegance surrounded by the weapons of war hanging on the walls. She was an expert horse trader, altering brands and laundering stolen livestock through a complex network of ranches stretching all the way to Texas.
I'll give you 500 for the mare.
When honest lawmen did try to breach the bend, they found Belle herself blocking the trail. Armed, mounted, and utterly unbothered, she made it clear that entering her land without permission was a death sentence.
By the mid-1880s, she was the undisputed queen of the frontier underworld. She had outsmarted the law, outmaneuvered her rivals, and carved out an independent kingdom in a savage land.
But a kingdom built on crime is always standing on a razor's edge. As federal forces gathered on her borders, Belle knew that the final bloody battle for her survival was rapidly approaching. The law finally fought back, led by the relentless federal courts of Fort Smith. The shadow of the gallows grew longer, and Belle could feel the world she built beginning to fracture. Enter Judge Isaac Parker, known to history as the Hanging Judge. He made it his personal mission to crush the outlaw safe havens of the Indian Territory, placing Belle Starr directly in his crosshairs.
How could you do this? After everything I've done for you!
You don't understand anything about what I need.
But the greatest threat didn't come from the law. It came from within. Greed, jealousy, and paranoia began to poison Younger's Bend, turning her closest allies into potential
Please, don't
traitors.
take him! He didn't do anything! Ed, no!
The ultimate blow struck when federal marshals arrested her own son, Ed. For all her power, wealth, and influence, Belle was completely helpless to stop the law from dragging her family away. Alone in the quiet, dark cabin, the weight of her choices settled heavily upon her. The double life had protected her, but it had cost her the very things she fought to protect. In her final years, she tied herself to a younger Cherokee outlaw named Jim July, but the fiery passion of her youth was gone, replaced by a cold, daily struggle just to stay alive. It all came to an end on a cold, bleak morning in February 1889. Belle rode out completely alone onto a quiet, muddy trail deep within her own territory. She didn't know she was being watched. Hidden deep within the thick winter brush, a faceless enemy tracked her every move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Belle stopped briefly at a remote general store along the river, completely unaware that she had just taken her very last step. As she packed her supplies, turning her back to the open doorway, the trap was quietly sprung. From the shadows of the porch, a double-barreled shotgun leveled directly at her spine. A deafening blast shattered the morning silence. Belle was struck down from behind, given no warning and no chance to fight back. As her horse stood quietly in the cold air, life faded from the frontier's most notorious woman. The clearing fell completely silent. When her body was discovered, panic rippled through the territory. The woman who had outsmarted the law for decades had been executed in broad daylight. The telegraph lines hummed as newspapers across America carried the shocking headline, "The Bandit Queen was dead." She was buried right there at Younger's Bend, back within the wild earth of the natural fortress she had ruled over so fiercely. Her headstone was carved with a bell, a star, and a warning to all who pass by. It stood as a permanent monument to a life lived entirely on her own terms. With her death, the myth-making machine began. Cheap dime novels turned her into a fictionalized legend, cementing her place in Western folklore forever. To this day, locals claim her spirit still rides through the dark forests of the Bend, a timeless ghost of an untamed frontier. Belle Starr proved that in the Wild West, you didn't need to be a man to leave an unforgettable mark on history. You just needed to be absolutely fearless. Thanks for watching. If you want to dive deeper into the darkest corners of the Old West, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us for our very next chapter.